Hey everybody, Nick here. Welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to talk about how nobody ever seems to come to consensus on almost anything in this world. You can see it everywhere, and it involves pretty much every aspect of our life, every topic. You see it with politics, where you have the right and the left. Nobody can ever seem to come in the middle, meet in the middle, and agree on the most logical of things. You know, you see the most obvious things going on, and people still don't agree that what the best course of action is for whatever it may be. Like, I'll give you examples. In the U.S., I'm not an American, but in the U.S., the previous administrations, and I don't really believe that politicians will save us or anything like that. But when they had the border thing going on, and they didn't want to have a border for anybody, essentially just no border policy. Let anybody in. Don't fix the border. And most of the country in the U.S. is like, no, close it. Has to be fixed and secure. I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer. Okay. And you don't have to be. I'm not a Trumper, and I'm not. None of this stuff. I'm not a diehard Trump supporter or anything like that. Like I said, I'm not a believer in the politicians and the political system, but certain things make sense, and it's like, because they're on the other side, we're not going to agree with it, no matter how much sense it makes, no matter how logical it is. Forget it. Oh, and as you guys notice, I'm laying in a hammock here. It's kind of a different place to film. It's actually really comfortable. I didn't used to like hammocks before, but it's pretty comfortable. As long as the cat doesn't jump at it, jump into here. So you're always going to get, people not agreeing, tons of disagreement, just because one side they don't want to concede and say, yeah, you're right. Just like the woke nonsense. It's so insane how so many people are going along with it, and even though they probably know to the core, they know that it's wrong, that it's insane. Some of the things that have been happening, I won't go into major detail because I think YouTube is kind of on the woke agenda side. I don't know. But you always get people who disagree with one another. There's never really any full consensus. Even with philosophical ideas, with existential topics, you get the religious people who are always like, yeah, no, it's Jesus is the Son of God, and that's that. Where it doesn't even allow them to think of other possibilities. It's kind of like that is the main focus of these people, and the belief. They have such a strong belief and faith that it blindly doesn't allow them to see other possibilities, or at least question anything. Religious people are one of the most difficult people to try to convince when it comes to other topics, other possibilities for this existence, for this realm. So you get those people, you can't even move them on anything. Like, I had one guy say, I tried to explain to him about, then why does God allow children to die? And he couldn't even explain it, but then he says, my faith in God. And okay, you see how you can never get to certain people. You just can't. And I mean, I don't want to be trying to convince all these people. I don't want to be the guy that has to try to save them or show them the light, or even try to change their mind on anything. I started to change my mind about what this place is, what this realm is, what it's about, and I'm still not sure exactly. I have the proof is pretty strong as to what this place is, but I couldn't tell somebody because I haven't done enough research to definitively say that we'll be recycled here, we'll be come back here. I won't say that. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it isn't the truth. But I still have a long way to go. I still have more to think about, more to learn. And even if I share my ideas with people, it's still not going to resonate with a lot of people, with most people here. You just can't. You're never going to get to a lot of people. Even basic, like I'm talking about more complicated topics, but even the most basic things, you can't even convince somebody of everyday common knowledge in some parts of the world. You could tell people in countries where they don't have even solar power, you go somewhere, that there's solar power, and because they don't have internet, because they don't have the education that most of us have, they will not believe you. They just won't understand. Either they won't understand, probably, but they also won't, that's not possible. That's not possible. It's same with the people who believe in multiple gods. A Christian person will not be able to convince a person who believes in multiple gods, like Hinduism, that it's only one God. And I'm not saying that's a fact or the truth. I'm just simply saying from both those angles, you cannot convince people. No one can ever come to a full consensus. Not everyone is going to have the same belief system. Not everyone is going to believe what you tell them. It's just very difficult in this world, especially now with social media and the internet and all these other different technologies, to try to come to a consensus. And maybe we shouldn't have a consensus on certain things, because it will be too uniform, too conformist in many things, not everything, but in many things. Like we all basically have a general agreement that we should have laws, we should have law enforcement, because this place is batshit crazy. There's a lot of bad people in this place, and if we don't have that system in place, like a jail system, court process, due process, things will get pretty fucked up, and it'll be chaos. So there are certain things that a lot of us, not all of us, there's still people who can't stand the police, by the way, for example. So you're still not going to always get full consensus, no matter what. You could get a majority of people who will be like, yeah, that makes sense. We should have a police system. We should have, a judicial system. We should have a set of rules and laws and a judge court system. Is it perfect? No, nothing is in this place. If you look at even the depths of this place, it's deeply into every single aspect of this place. It's not perfect. There are some things that run perfectly, like you get, for example, photosynthesis and whatnot, how the plants survive from water and then sunlight, things like that, right? We could call them scientific methods. Those are pretty perfect because you can't really break it unless you're missing something. But I'm talking more like how would I say, thoughts and like ideas, more of that kind of consensus. Like that's why we have capitalism, for example. Most people agree that it's the best system that we could possibly have, rather than communism. I think we've seen how that worked out for many countries. Just look at Cuba currently. China's become even worse than a communist country. It's become like a technocracy or a tyranny, dystopia, pretty much, with the camera surveillance and all that stuff. And they've pretty much all agreed with that, because the newer generations are totally into it because that's all they've known as well. Try to introduce a capitalist society that we live in the West to Chinese people. They'll be like, no, because they're so used to their own system. Just like how I don't want the communist system, even though I've never had to live through it, but I've seen how it works. And they, I guess, never really had a capitalist system in their lifetime. So my point is with this video is that any little thing we can never really come to a full consensus on. Some people will agree with you, some people won't. No matter how much evidence and things that you show people, it's still not a guarantee that it's going to change them. And it's getting full of mosquitoes here. And the cats are making noise. And it's getting dark. That's probably why the mosquitoes usually come out just at dusk. So it's really hard to deal with people in society, especially when they can't see what you see and you're trying to explain to them with the most evidence that you have. And even with evidence, again, it's still not going to change people's mind. They're not going to believe what you believe, or you may not believe what someone else believes. Just like how I don't believe the religious crap, you know? A book written by man, that I have to follow all these rules. I'm not saying everything in the Bible is shit, okay? There are some good lessons, there are some good things that we could live by, but they forgot to mention all the other stuff. And I don't believe it's the Word of God, I don't believe it's any of that, but it makes for a good read if you want to read about fiction. But some of the moral arguments are good, but then there's some other shit in there. It's like, I won't get into it, but it's just hard to disseminate what is the truth in this ever informational world that we live in, okay? Everyone is spewing a lot of crap out there. There's some good things that are going on out there, but most of it is like lies, and lies sell a lot here, okay? It's something that is just easy to put out into the ether for people to believe, and unfortunately most people do not have rational thinking skills, and they'll fall for it, okay? So that is the other thing that is pretty sad and makes sense on how we can't ever come to, even if it's something that will work for everybody, a lot of people will not go for it. Even if they see it right in their face, they still won't go for it. So it's a very interesting thing. I'm sure there's tons more things that people can't come to an agreement on. Families, I mean, even your own family, you can never come to a consensus in your family about certain things. No, we want to watch this movie tonight. Why that? I know that's like a very trivial thing, but it's just, there's so many things that in this existence that we live, that's just hard to try to convince others of believing and going for it, or even just seeing that this is what it is, and they just can't see it. It goes right over their head. I hope this video made sense. It's just I've noticed that since 20 plus years, since the day I was in high school. I mean, no one can ever come to agreement. That's why I guess they do a democratic vote. I don't know, even though that system is still not fully foolproof. So yeah. Anyways, let me know your comments below. What are some things that you see that makes sense and others just can't, and you have no choice or chance to even convince them of it? And yeah, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video very soon. Bye for now.